What is up, YouTube? It's Leah's mom, Ty, and I am here today to do something a little different from the regularly scheduled programming of TTC all the time. I wanted to talk about to co-sleep or not to co-sleep. That is the question. Stay tuned. Alright, so I got my handy dandy notebook and I wanted to go over some myths and misconceptions of co-sleeping, because yes, I co-sleep. My name is Ty and I'm a co-sleeper. Well, not anymore. Currently Leah is in her bed, so I have transitioned from co-sleeping successfully with no problem to regular her sleeping in her own room every night, no problem. And so I just wanted to go over some information and tell you how I weaned her. I guess you would say she was weaned from sleeping with me. So let's get started. So, number one, co-sleeping may cause your baby to suffocate. Now, the way that I came about co-sleeping by accident. I was one of those mothers that was like, I would never in my life co-sleep. That is crazy. They're going to get their own bed, blah, blah this, blah, blah that. Now, if you are one of those mothers, I am not saying that it's not a good thing. To each his own. I am pro whatever works for your life with your child. But I'm just saying, at the time, before I had my daughter, I had all these kind of things in my head that I wouldn't do and would do. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to take that pacifier away. I'm going to take that bottle away. We're not going to have no thumb suckers, blah, blah, blah. And so one of the things I was like, she ain't going to be sleeping with me and my husband. She's going to be sleeping in her own bed. Me and her dad are going to, we're going to be normal people. Is what I thought in my head. That's what I thought. But what actually happened was I decided to stay off work for 3 months at home with her instead of the 6 to 8 weeks that you normally stay. So not that much longer, but I stayed home for the 3 months. And since I was the one staying home, I was the one that woke up at night. So of course I also breastfed for 1 year. So I also pumped and breastfed throughout the first year of her life. So it also made a lot more sense for her to sleep with me in the sense that I didn't have to get up. Once I went back to work for the first 3 months of her life, she stayed in her bassinet in our room. And I would just get up, I would feed her, and then I would put her back to sleep every 3 hours like clockwork. It was a fairy tale, really. Birds sang, hummed, it all worked until I went back to work. And she was still waking up every 3 hours. And I'm trying to go to sleep and nurse and wake up, go to work, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, how do people do this? I couldn't understand it. So I brought her to bed with me. I would put her in between the middle of me and her father. And we always had a king size bed. So it was never a thought that she would suffocate or anything like that. Me and him are not rollers. We sleep in the same spot every night. Like if there was if we kept our bed for like 20 or 30 years or something, there will be a body size dent, because that's how I'm not a roller. I will go to sleep, and whichever position I want to go to sleep is the position I'm going to wake up in. Whereas my husband does not. He is more of a tosser and turner, but he does not roll back and forth. So I think more as a tip, as also debunking this, a tip for people that co-sleep: if you're not going to buy the co-sleeper that actually like cozies the baby in the middle of you guys, or attaches to the bed, or has kind of like blocks that make it where you can't roll over, if you think you're a roller over, or you get drunk or get high for some reason and roll over, you think, don't sleep with your baby. But for people, you kind of know how you sleep, so you should know if you roll, or if you're like a cover snuggler, or always moving your covers and things like that. Whereas we're not really those type of people, so it was never a concern for me that my daughter would be in danger of sleeping, because I did not have a cozy or anything. She just literally slept in between me and my husband. And by us having a king size bed, He would be on his side with his pillow, I would be on my side with my pillow, and she would be smack dab in the middle, up closer towards the headboard with her. She never really slept with a blanket or anything like that, and the blanket kind of stayed further down, but it would kind of be covering her lower half, but never got anywhere near her face or anything. So just make sure that if co-sleeping is what you want with a little baby, that you know what type of sleeper you are. Are you a deep sleeper? Are you a light sleeper? Do you roll? Do you, it just helps to know that kind of thing. But if you are and you're aware, that shouldn't be a concern. So I've never had that issue of wondering, or never rolled over or caught myself rolling anywhere near her. Number 2, co-sleeping makes your kids needy later in life. I never heard this. These are all myths that I got off Pinterest. It was a Pinterest board that I thought was really interesting. And I never even, Leah is already an only child as of right now. It has been for the last 4 years. She just turned 4 in January. So I think only children are naturally independent because they have to play by themselves, they have to learn all these things. But she is also in daycare, so she has about 12 other kids that she sees on a normal basis, so she knows how to share, she knows how to sleep with others because they take naps, and like she plays with other people. She socializes perfectly fine. She's never had any issue with being like overly clingy to me. Like very beginning, like when they're first really small, she would cry when I dropped her off, but I think that might have been like when she was like little, like 6, 7, 8 months or something like that. But as an older child, as a toddler, like 1, 2, and 3, I had no problems. She is very like, oh, I'll go stay with Nana, or she doesn't mind going over other people's houses, like my relatives or my best friend. She's perfectly fine. So I never had that issue. Number 3, co-sleeping will make your kid not want to sleep with anyone or be away from you ever. And that is, of course, ridiculous. Leah never had any kind of issues. Again, she likes to go over and spend the weekend with her Nana. She did, because it's only, that's her Nana's house. She will sleep with her Nana because there's nowhere else to sleep but in the bed with her. So she co-sleeps over there too. But she doesn't have any problems. Like I have nieces and nephews. I'm one of 5 children, so she has plenty of nieces and nephews and aunts that she goes over to see, and she has no problem. Me and my husband take vacations. We've gone, the longest we've ever been gone is about a week. We've gone on cruises, and I've been away to the Dominican, and we leave her with my mother-in-law, and she's perfectly fine. We FaceTime her. We pay the outrageous fees through Verizon to do the when you're out of the country and you can make international calls and whatever. We do that, and we just FaceTime her every day, when like a few times a day. And she she gets a little antsy closer to when it's like the first few days are fine, but as we've been gone for a while, as I said, I think the longest we've been gone for like 7 days or something like that, and closer to the end she gets a little antsy. Every time she sees us, she might like whine or cry. But like what toddler like can have their parents be gone for a super long time and not worry? But it's, other than that, like there's no problem. She's a normal child. She will miss us if we're gone, but if we leave, she's okay with that. My last myth is number 4. Co-sleeping means a sexless marriage, which is crazy. Like, you have a house for a reason. It's not just one bedroom in your house. There are multiple rooms. Sorry, that's my dog. It's kitchen. I mean, like, hey, if you can't be creative, then you don't deserve it. And kids will make you work for it, especially when you co-sleep. So yes, there is some creativity that needs to be introduced to make it work, but it's not like I don't know who just like just stops. Just makes no sense. Absolutely. Like, she got here for a reason. There is baby dancing. So essentially what happened, continuing my story. So after going back to work, it was like, why would I just keep getting up? So it was just easier for me to get sleep because she was so calm. There was no, it was a wake up every 3 hours to feed type of thing and go right back to sleep. She would never have any issues. It was not like crying, me walking floors in the middle of the night. And studies have shown, look it up, that when babies sleep next to their mother, it is a soothing kind of nature thing where your breathing is in sync and the baby feels you, and like they're just more calm. They're calm when they're near you, which is kind of like a duh, but it just makes sense. So why put myself through when I have to get up and go to work in the morning? It was just easier. So we did it for about 2 years. Before about a year and a half, about when she was about a year and a half years old, me and my husband decided it was time to slowly wean. So what we decided to do was to move her crib, which she had never slept in, out of her room, which she has her own room that she uses as a playroom. She never slept in it. And moved her crib out of her room into our room. And then we placed her in there at night. And so that was a little adjustment for her, but she took to it right away. She did have a time when she would just kind of reach her hand out of that crib and just ask me to hold it, because the crib was not next to my bed and everything. So she would ask me to hold her hand, and like a crazy person, I did for like the first 2 weeks or something like that. She didn't do it every day, but when she did, I would indulge. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, this can't be good, because now I'm building a different kind of dependency. But after I would just tell her no, she would whine for like a couple of seconds, kind of like a please type of thing. And I would be like, no, it's time for bed. We have school in the morning. You have to get up. And she would be okay with it. Eventually, she stopped asking altogether. Now, fast forward to 3. Is when we decided this would be the year that we kind of move her in, because she had been sleeping in her crib in our room all the way until she turned 3. And then 3, I was like, okay, this year we're gonna try to introduce her, move her into her room, which is really across the hall. But a thing happens when you co-sleep. It's funny, the parent, sorry, I swear my dog can hear a leaf fall from the tree. It's so crazy, like, just, it's ridiculous. But, so, I found myself wanting her to be in my room as much as I did. It's a lot of anxiety of me to make the decision to finally phase her into the final phase of actually being in her room. And so we waited to around Christmas time, like the beginning of December, to go ahead and start introducing the idea to her, like, yeah, we're gonna put you in your room, and Santa's going to be so proud of you for sleeping in your room all by yourself. And if you just hype them up and everything. And the first night I put her in her own bed, she takes a nap every day in daycare, or whether she's here or whether she's at daycare, she always takes a nap. But that day I did not give her a nap, so she would be extra sleepy. Gave her a bath, and by 8 o'clock I was like, okay, it's time to get in our bed. We had moved her crib, and when I say crib, I mean, the cribs are like the 4 or 5 in 1 or whatever, it converts and everything. And we had long ago taken the arm down. Big crib base down and just left it the way it is, and then we had to end up putting a border because she's a wild sleeper and she fell out. I would just wake up and she'd just be on the floor sometimes. So when I say crib, I actually mean toddler bed or whatever you want to call it. So we had moved her little bed into her room, and then she got into it. We had 2 night lights, one little rainbow one that's more dim, and then one that plugs into the wall. And we read our book, and she spelled some words. She loves to spell words before bed, and she just fell right off to sleep. I was flabbergasted. Like, I actually was looking for a fight. Like, I thought I was gonna have to explain and reason with her and make her understand how it was gonna be so good that she slept in her bed and she fell right to sleep. And I was like, huh, well, maybe not giving her a nap before bed, you know, really gave it what we needed. She didn't have any time to fuss or think about being in there by herself, and she just fell right to sleep. Whereas in the next day, she did the same thing, the next day and the next day and the next day. Before you know it, I'm like, am I the only one having separation anxiety? Like, I wanted to go lay in the bed with her, but I did not, because I'm a big girl, and I let her stay in there by herself. And it was awesome. Now she sleeps in her room by herself. And again, like, most of the night, most days she would wake up and she's like, Santa's gonna be really proud of me. I slept in my bed by myself. And so I think that had a lot, because she's 3 and she turned 4 the next month. So she kind of gets the concept of Santa, and, you know, the gifts and all that stuff. And I think she just really wanted to be really good for Santa, and then to where it wasn't even like a thought for her. She just goes and sleeps in her room with absolutely no problem. So it went from sleeping with me in my bed to sleeping in her little toddler bed in my room to sleeping in her bed in her room. And it was very seamless. I had no issues. She never gave me any kind of inclination that it was going to be a problem. And so it was awesome. I had never had any problems, and thus was the end of my co-sleeping saga. And I actually do miss sleeping with her. She was really, you know, great having her, not actually sleeping with her, because kids are the worst. Like, she had her fists in my hair and her body on mine, and it was always, she was so close. But just meaning, like, having her there, knowing she's at that point and everything, because it's like, maybe I have watched one too many episodes of Snapped or Disappeared or How I Survived, but it just made me so anxious to have her not be in the same room with me, to where my best friend would be like, you tripping, which I was tripping. So now I am kid free in my bed and loving it. And if I had it all to do over again, I would definitely co-sleep again, because this was just a really good experience. It was not hard getting her to sleep in her own bed when the time came to move her or transition. It was easier for me to sleep with her there when I was transitioning back to being at work and being a breastfeeding mom and a new mom to my first time child. So it was easier. Now, will it work as easy the next time around? Who knows? But it's for each and every person to decide on their own whether co-sleeping is for them. I think if you and your partner has had an honest and open discussion about how it's going to work for you guys, and in the end decide that it's something good for you guys and that it'll work, then by all means have at it. So let me know now in the comments below if you guys have had any are you experienced co-sleeping? Do you have any questions about co-sleeping? Or are you still co-sleeping? And at what age did you untangle yourself from the limbs of a child? Because they are like little octopuses. They're everywhere, like just attached to you. So just let me know. Thanks so much for watching this, you guys. Talk to you soon.